Hi everyone and welcome to Sewing Wednesdays. This week I'll be making a ruffled crop top that can also be worn in two ways, and you can change the length to make it a bit longer if you want it to be a dress or a longer top. So as usual, let's get started with what you will need. Fabric, it can be any fabric of your choice, matching thread, elastic, safety pins, scissors, pins, tailor's chalk and a sewing machine. So first we need to get our bust measurement, and to get the correct measurement for our ruffle top we need to times it by 2 for more ruffles or 1.5 for less ruffles. I used 1.5. Then we need to move on to the sleeve measurement, and you just do this by measuring halfway through your bust to your back. Once you have both measurements, you need to cut out the bit for your top, which will be quite a long rectangle because you've timed your bust by 2 or 1.5. At the length of your top, just measure from your bust line down to where you want it to stop. Now that you have cut it out, you just need to fold it in half, making sure the wrong sides are up facing you and the right sides are inside. Once you have folded it in half and you're happy and it's smoothed out, just pin along the side, leaving about 1.5 centimeter seam allowance, and then you're just going to stitch that down. So now we're going to move on to getting the two sleeves. What I did was I placed two pieces of fabric on top of each other so I can just cut it once and make sure they're identical. So you're just going to get the measurement you took for your sleeve before and mark for how wide it was. Mine was 14 inches, so I divided it by 2 to get the middle point. Once I had the middle point, I went down about 14 inches and marked there. From there I did a D shape to create the semicircle sleeve. So now that we have cut out all of our fabric, we're just going to get the correct sizes of the elastic. So what you do is you put it around your bust first and just tug on it so it can feel fitted, and this will help us to create our ruffles. Then we're going to move on to the sleeves. You can cut it quite long because it's better for it to be long than short. So I would say just measure along where you measured before when you first took your sleeve measurement. To make sure that the sleeve elastic is exactly the same, just fold it in half and then cut along the bottom and then cut in the middle so you have the same exact pieces for your sleeve. So moving back to our 3 pieces of fabric, I hemmed the sleeves and the bottom of the top because it's easier to do it now than when the ruffles are in it. All I did was fold about 1.5 centimeters of the fabric, and then I did a straight stitch going all the way around to hem it. Don't know what's wrong with my talking today, but bear with me. So now that you've hemmed the sleeves and the body of the top, you're going to create the casing for the elastic. All you do is put the elastic on the top of your sleeve and fold the fabric over it, ensuring that there's a little gap so you're not going to stitch right along the elastic. Once you have folded over the material, you're just going to pin along the bottom so that you have enough space to pull the elastic out, because we will not be putting the elastic into the casing yet. It's just to help us to figure out where we should be stitching the casing. So don't stitch right along the elastic or pin right along where the elastic is stopped. Just leave a bit more space. So once you have pinned it all in place, don't forget to pull out the elastic because we don't want to stitch the casing while the elastic is in there, just to avoid us stitching across it. But you've completed the sleeves, you just need to move on to the body of the top. Mine was faced the right way round, so I just had to turn it inside out again. And then it's just the same method that we did with the sleeves. You just need to place the elastic on the top of the top and fold the fabric over so that we can create the casing for the elastic. The only difference with this side is that it's a larger circumference, plus you have a seam at the side. So what you need to do is flatten the seam so that when we're putting the elastic through the casing, it's flat and easy for us to get it through. And it also makes the stitch look a lot neater. So as I said before, we're just going to put the elastic at the top and pin along the bottom of it, just leaving a bit of wiggle room so it's easy for us to get the elastic through later. So once you have gone round pinning and you make it back to the seam of your top, you just want to make sure that you leave at least a centimetre-inch gap so that you are able to put your elastic in and get it out on the other side. Now we're just going to close our casing. Starting with the sleeve casing, just sort of mark again so you can make sure that you've pinned in the right place, and you're just going to do a straight stitch, not forgetting to back stitch at the beginning and end so that it's secure for your elastic. Moving on to the body of our top, we're just going to do the same thing. So stitch from where our gap begins, and we're just going to stitch around using a straight stitch. We don't have to worry about back stitching at this point because we have left a gap to insert our elastic and bring it around on the other side. So just take your time to go around just to make it as neat as possible, because you know that you're going to see the stitch on the other side, but it shouldn't be that visible if you use a matching thread that goes with your material. We have completed the casings, we can insert the elastic in them. Starting with the sleeve, you just need to get a safety pin and put it through the elastic. Once you have it in the elastic and it feels secure, you just start to push it through the casing that we created on each sleeve. You just push. It might seem like it's taking long, but just take your time because you want it to all be on the right side and not twisted up. If you forget to pin at the end, I'll show you what can happen. The elastic can come right through, and then you will need to get one of your normal pins and just sort of dig for it. So the best thing to do at the beginning is pin the elastic, the other end of the elastic at the end of the top, just to avoid it coming through because it can be annoying, especially on the body part of the top. So once you have got the elastic out at each side, just secure it with a normal pin, and then now you can start to work your ruffles and see how they're going to look once they're attached to your top. You do this with both sleeves, so just do the same method that we did just now, but not forgetting to pin the other side of the elastic at the beginning, just to avoid it coming through like I showed you before. Moving on to the body of our top, it's the same method, but we just insert it where we left the gap before. This is a great point to flatten the seam again because it's not stitched in place, so it's not going to stay flat. So we just need to make sure it's flattened. So we push in the elastic a little bit and then pin the other end of the elastic at the end of the opening, so that when we're going around, it doesn't come through with us, because it's going to be a shorter piece and it'll be harder to get it out. So you just keep pushing along. So like the push, pull technique is really helpful with these pins, but just take your time because sometimes the elastic can come off of the safety pin. Once you make it to the other side, you're just going to make sure that your elastic is all in the right position and not twisted. You can do this as you're going along also, but you're just going to get the safety pin and pin the two sides of the elastic together so that we can try it on and not have to worry about stitching it yet, because you might want to make it tighter or put another piece of elastic in there. But yeah, just pin it together and then you'll see your ruffles. Now that we have the 3 pieces, we're just going to try it on and see where our sleeves will sit. So you want it to be halfway through your bust and at the back of your back where we measured at the beginning. So you just get a safety pin to avoid normal pins pricking you, because that's what happened to me. So you get a safety pin and pin on that part, then you see where it comes to in your back and pin there. Then you can just put your arms in just to see if you like the fit, if you need to make any changes. And if you're happy with it, we're just going to finish off the casings and then attach the sleeves to the top, and then we'll be done. So to avoid us losing where our sleeves are going to fit, we just need to get normal pins and just pin where we pinned our sleeves so that we can use it as a point of reference once we need to attach them again. Try not to lose where you've pinned the elastic, so just pin the sleeves marking into place first and then take the elastic out and put it back into place so we don't lose the position of the ruffles. To complete the casing, you just need to stitch at either end of it and then cut the excess piece of elastic. So just stitch down once or twice with a back stitch and then cut off the extra piece of elastic, and that's the casing for the sleeves done. For the body of the top, you just need to go back to where the elastic was and pull it out a bit. Then you need to do a straight stitch a couple of times along the elastic, and I'll show you because this part isn't as tricky, but it can be a bit confusing just to say without you guys seeing it. So you just hold the elastic into place and then do a back stitch and front stitch a couple of times just so it's nice and secure, but just make sure it's quite flat. So you just have to hold it in place and do it about twice forward and twice back. So once I did the elastic, I just did a straight stitch over the seam, not forgetting to flatten it first so that it's not lumpy, and then the casings are complete. Then you just need to go back to your top and pin the sleeves back into place where you left the pins before. If you have lost where your point of reference, just try it on again and pull it in place with safety pins. But because it's already been, the cases are already closed, you just need to pin it like this and then stitch it in place. To stitch it in place and make sure that it's secure, you're just going to go down with a straight stitch about an inch, and I would say just go back and forth a couple of times. You will only know for you how secure it feels. I did it about 4 or 5 times, so maybe like 3 times forward and then a couple of times going back and forth each way. You do it with each side of the sleeve so it's nice and secure, but you just have to judge it yourself. Obviously it's going to be more than twice just so it's very secure, but once you have done that, you're finished. I really loved making this, and it's great for summer because you can make it longer as a dress or a long top, and I think I might do it for my next Sewing Wednesday tutorial. If you're happy to see that, comment below. But thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in 2 weeks time for the next Sewing Wednesday tutorial. Thanks.